Okay, so today we have our lower body circuit. Most of the movements we're doing are primarily going to be body weight focused. However, we will use a little bit of equipment. So make sure that you have something kind of squishy you can put in between your legs. Today I'm using a towel. You can always use a pillow, a blanket, just anything that's going to give a little bit of squish in between your legs. I also have a resistance band for just one of our exercises that we're going to be doing for today. Again, if you don't have any of this equipment nearby or handy at all, no worries. We can do all of this without any equipment. But if you do have those items, go ahead and grab them now. As always, just make sure you got a little bit of water with you too. The way we're going to work through this lower body circuit, we're going to start in our seated position, and then eventually we'll make our way up to standing and finish out with some of those exercises that way. So we're going to go ahead and get set up. The very first thing we're going to do is grab that towel, blanket, whatever you have, something squishy. We are going to go ahead and get set up in that position. So I have that item. I'm just going to be placing it in between my thighs. So I'm thinking really placing it between my thighs rather than just in between my knees. So that's really where I want this item to be. Again, the bigger the item, the harder it's going to be, the more you're going to let your legs kind of collapse. So my feet are just kind of flat on the floor. They're about hip, shoulder distance apart. I'm scooched towards that front edge of my chair. I'm up nice and tall. From this position, all I'm thinking about doing is just squishing my legs together, my thighs together to crush that object and then releasing. So a squeeze and a release. Good, pretty simple movement here. Just want to be sure that all the movement is really coming from this upper part of your leg, the whole leg itself. So think about the thighs squishing together rather than just the knees. My knees will come together, but I want to think about my thighs doing a lot of the work as well. Good. As I mentioned, the bigger the item you have, the squishier the item you have, the more you're able to really kind of crush those legs together. If you don't have any item at all, you can always do this without. It just really helps me having something in between my legs to think about collapsing in on. As always, while I'm sitting here in this nice tall position, I'm also thinking about my posture. So just because my work is focused in the legs doesn't mean I collapse my upper body. I keep it nice and tall. Good, we're almost through these ones already. We only got about 10 more seconds here in this position. And we're entering our final three here. 3, 2, and 1. Nice, perfect, just like that. Go ahead, take that item, move it off to the side. We won't be needing it anymore for the rest of our class. You will need for this next exercise your band if you have it. So if it's handy, if you've got one, grab it. If not, if you just have hand weights or nothing at all, that works as well. Now on that one, we really focused our work on that last exercise on kind of that inner part of our leg, our inner hip a little bit. Now we got to go the other way and we're going to work on that outside a little bit more. So if you have your band or any sort of loop, any kind of resistance, go ahead and take it, wrap it around your legs. Now you can either wrap it with the band going on top of your legs and then crossing underneath your thighs there, or you can always bring the band underneath your legs and then hold it up top. Whatever is more comfortable for you, they both work. Our goal with this band is just to add a little bit of resistance. So find what's comfortable for you. In this position, I'm starting with my feet about hip width to shoulder width distance apart. I'm up nice and tall, and I have, like I mentioned, that band wrapped around the middle of my thighs. All I'm doing here, I'm gonna alternate stepping my leg out to the side. It'll look like this: step out, back in, step out, back in. You can join me when you're ready. So you'll notice the band just adds a little resistance, so it's a little bit harder for me to move my leg. I'm still thinking about picking my leg up off the ground, and I'm not so much worried about distance, how far my leg goes. I'm really thinking about maintaining that good form. So my knee isn't collapsing. My knee stays in line with my other leg. I'm thinking I have a tray of my favorite dessert on my lap, and I don't want it to fall. Now, if this feels kind of like a piece of cake, you want to add a little bit more, you can always tighten that resistance band. That'll make this harder. If this is feeling like kind of uncomfortable, hard to move through, you can always loosen it a little bit. You can also always do this without any resistance at all if this is too much. Good, starting to feel it a little bit now. We got about 20 more seconds of this. Up nice and tall. We're already here to our final three. We got 3, 2, last one. Woo, perfect, nicely done. Go ahead, get rid of that band around your thighs. Now we're gonna keep our band for just one more exercise. As always though, if you don't have your band or if you don't wanna use your band for this one, you do not have to, it's just an option. We're gonna move right into our seated point and flex while we're gonna use our band for it. So I'm gonna scooch my chair back just so you can see kind of my lower leg a little bit better here. In this position, I'm gonna take my band, I'm gonna place it underneath my foot. There's a couple different ways you can kind of have this. I can either just have that band kind of towards the middle, the ball of my foot. I just want to make sure there's some space here so it's not right on my toe, so it's not going to fling back at me. If you're worried about that, you can always wrap your band fully around your foot here so my foot is covered. Up to you what you want to do. You're picking one side to start with. Make sure on this one that you're really scooched all the way towards the edge of your chair. This one leg you're not working is just bent. Both hands are going to come on either end of the band. From this position, you can choose to either keep your heel on the ground or lift it just slightly above. The choice is yours. All I'm doing here, I'm working on pointing my foot and flexing it. So I like to call this one our gas pedal motion. I'm thinking here that I have my foot on the gas and I'm pressing down and I'm easing off of it. We're doing this one with a resistance band just to make it a little bit harder for our foot to move through that space. If the band is too much, drop it. You'll really still be able to feel this one, even if you have no band at all. Good. Now, if we want to make this a little bit more challenging, we just pull a little bit more on that band. Woof, already, even that little pull makes it a lot more challenging. Good, good work. We only got 15 more seconds of this. Then we'll switch sides. Good, nice job. Point and flex. Final 3, 2, last one. Good. Very carefully bring your foot back down, place it on the floor, and then step your foot off of the band. Anytime we have that band that we're kind of working with away from our body, just be really careful that you're very gentle in releasing it so it's not going to snap back at you. Same exact thing, other side this time. Set up your band however you like. Again, make sure you're scooched all the way towards that edge of the chair. Heel is planted into the ground. Choice is yours, whether you want your heel to stay on the ground or hover just slightly above. If you hover your foot off the ground, you're going to get a little bit more of that range of motion, but you are going to be doing a little bit more work just holding that leg up in the air. Go ahead, grab onto either end of the band. From here, choice is yours. Go ahead and join me with our point and flex. So that gas pedal motion is all I'm thinking here. Doesn't need to be super fast. This exercise is really great when we're thinking about our ankle flexibility, our ankle range of motion. Something really important that helps us really pick up our feet to try to reduce our risk of falls here. Point and flex. Good, nicely done. We're almost through these ones. After this exercise, we'll drop the band. We won't be using it anymore for the rest of class. Here we go, we're getting to our final 3. It's 3, 2, and 1. Nicely done. Go ahead, very carefully bring the foot back down, then step off of it. Take your band, throw it over to the side. We're not using it for the rest of class. Nice work on that. Let's see, we got one more seated exercise. I'm just moving my chair a little bit closer so you can see me. Now, I know today our focus is primarily our lower body, but it's important to get a little bit of that extra core work in as well when we're thinking about our legs, our core, a little bit of arms on this one. So here we're gonna go into our seated march and we're gonna add a twist. So pretty simple here. I'm just thinking that I'm gonna bring my hands back kind of behind my ears here. If this is ever too much, you can always do this with your hands by your side. I think a little challenge is always nice. From here, I'm just gonna alternate marching my feet. I'm gonna march, hold, think about twisting my elbow to my knee, then lower the leg back down, come back center other way. Good. So I'm just really thinking here, elbow to knee. My elbow's not actually touching my knee, but that's just kind of the motion that I want to think about doing. So we're adding in a little bit of a crunch, a twist here. Speed is up to you, however fast you want to go. Just remember that you're always stopping in the center for just a second before you move on to that other side. Good, nicely done. We're more than halfway through this one already. This one goes by pretty quick. Here we go, our final 3, 2, and 1. Whew. Awesome work on that one. Lower the arms, nice job. The rest of our exercises we're gonna finish standing. So go ahead, stand on up. Now's a really great time to grab some water if that's something that you need. Always important to make sure we stay hydrated. All right. All right, so my head's a little bit cut off here. Hopefully you can still hear me okay. We're really focusing on looking at my lower body for all of these exercises anyway. Like I mentioned, the rest of our exercises we'll be doing standing, and we're gonna do with no weight at all, just moving through our body weight. So very first one we're gonna do is our calf raise. So I'm gonna kind of adjust myself at an angle so you can see. For this one, I like to have my chair directly in front of me to hold on to. You can always have it over to the side if that's what you prefer. But for me, I'm gonna have my chair right in front of me. I'm just holding on to the chair with a couple of fingers. Now, if you're really tall like me, it might be a little bit harder to really hold on to that chair. Do your best, just a couple fingers works for me. All I'm doing here is I'm thinking about shifting my weight to my toes, lifting my heels up in the air, and then nice and controlled, bringing my heels back down. So join me when you're ready. Lifting up, and then back down. Up and back down. Here we're not going for speed. I'm not looking for how many of these you can do. Instead, we're really looking for that nice, deliberate, controlled movement every single time. You'll notice that as my weight shifts towards my toes, my upper body pretty much stays in line. So my torso isn't bending excessively down towards the chair. Instead, I'm thinking there's almost someone holding a string up by my head that's pulling me up every single time. Woof. Oof, maybe at this point starting to feel a little bit of the burn in the back of the legs and the calves. That's where we want to feel it. Maybe if you want a little bit of a challenge for these last 20 seconds, you try maybe just hovering your hand over the chair this time. Maybe just having both hands by your side. Most challenging position is always going to be with our hands across your chest. Up to you, wherever you want your hands to be. Oof, really burning now. We got our final 3. Here we go. 3, 2, and 1. Oof, awesome work. Go ahead, shake out those legs to the side if you need. Really great work on those ones. Next exercise we have is going to be our lunges. So from here, I'm gonna again angle myself just so you can see me. On these ones, I do like to have my chair by my side. It's up to you wherever you want your chair, as always. I'm gonna start here with my feet about hip width distance apart with one of my legs, doesn't matter which, we'll do both sides. You're gonna take 1 step forward. So now I'm in the staggered stance. Now I'm not walking that tightrope. I still have my right leg on my right side and my left leg on my left side. I'm just finding a position that feels pretty comfortable here. I have my hand on my chair for support. I'm gonna think about lifting my back heel up off the ground. I'm facing forward. All I'm doing here, I'm thinking about bending my knees, I'm lowering to the ground, and I'm standing back up. Join me when you're ready. Good. Now the bend of the knees, how far you go is up to you. Don't feel like you need to go all the way to the floor. The challenge, however deep you want to go, again, up to you, your choice. Just like when we were doing our calf raises, you'll notice my torso is staying up nice and pretty tall. So I'm not bending my torso every time I go down. Instead, it's really, really just the bend of my legs. Now we have that back heel popped up off the ground. That's just going to make it a little bit easier to move through that back leg. You can always adjust your position of your feet if it feels really awkward. Maybe you take a step further away or a step closer. Good, great work. We got 10 more seconds, then we switch sides. Here we go, final 3, 2, and 1. Good, very quickly take note of what foot's in front. Bring both feet back down center. Now you can always keep the chair on that same side, or if you prefer, you can move the chair to the other side. For me, my right foot was forward that last time, so this time, my left foot's gonna step forward. Again, back foot, I'm gonna pop my heel up off the ground. That's just gonna help me get a little bit deeper in my range of motion without too much pain. From here, same exact thing, other side. Join me when you're ready. Bend and stand. Good. Good, really great movement here. Again, torso stays up. Really just focusing here on a bend of the knees every single time. Good, great work. You may notice here that you have another foot, the other foot that's in front. Maybe it's a little bit harder to balance, or maybe we feel it a little bit more on one side over the other. That's okay, that's normal. We tend to have one side that's a little bit stronger than the other. We all have it, we're human. Woo, feeling a burn here. We're almost through these ones. Here we go, final 3, 2, last one. Woohoo, nicely done. Shake out those legs if you need. Awesome work. We only got a couple more exercises here, then we're done with our lower body. Go ahead and readjust your chair. You can either keep it by your side or put it out in front of you once more. Choice is yours. I like to have this chair kind of right in front of me. For this next one, I'm gonna, again, kind of angle myself a little bit, so hopefully you can see me okay. Again, you're focusing here on my feet. We're gonna go into those side leg lifts. So no equipment, all you need is your chair for support. I'm gonna think about here, I'm starting with my left leg moving. So all of my weight is gonna shift over to my right side. I'm gonna have a soft bend in my right knee, so I'm not extending it too much. I'm gonna think about slightly turning in my left toes. I'm gonna think that I have a string attached to my left heel. All I'm doing here is I'm extending my leg to the side and bringing it back down. This is a really great one for our hips. Maybe feeling a little bit uncomfortable, but as long as there's no pain, we can work through this one. Now you'll notice here my leg on this side isn't moving too far in space. I want you to focus on having that really nice form and maybe only moving your leg a couple of inches rather than swinging your leg all the way up to the side. We totally lose our form there. So a nice small movement. For me, it kind of tends to help to have my arm on the side that's moving just on my hip. It's just kind of a good reminder for me to keep my body as upright as I can. And then my other hand, I do have on my chair for balance. Because we're moving into a one-legged position, I get a little unstable here, a little wobbly. Good, really thinking about the heel leading the movement. Last 3, 2, and 1. Oof, awesome work. Go ahead, shake up the legs, adjust your chair however you need. I'm just gonna move it to this side now that I'm gonna focus on moving my right leg. Same exact thing, other side. Get set first, so before we even think about lifting our leg up off the ground, we wanna make sure all of our weight is shifted over to that standing leg. We have a soft bend in that standing leg. Now from here, I can slightly turn my toes in and I'm kicking my leg out to the side. Woo! Nice. Feeling a lot of work kind of here in this back area, kind of our side body. This is an area that we tend to kind of almost forget about. We don't give it a ton of work. So here we're kind of waking everything up with this movement. Again, it doesn't need to be big. If you only are moving a couple inches, that's great. I'd rather see that than, again, kicking your leg all the way up to the side. Just like we did with the other side, you'll notice my upper body really isn't moving too much. There might be a little bit of sway, but I'm really thinking about not moving into this position. So it's really just the heel that's leading the whole movement. Like I mentioned, this one's a great one. We get a little bonus balance work. We get a little bonus strength work, just having to stand on that one leg. We're almost through this one. I know this one can be tough. Last 3, 2, and 1. Woo, awesome work. Go ahead, shake out those legs. Great job. Now I know I did say we were done after that standing one, but we got to get in our last one. Some people's least favorite. We got our sit to stand. So go ahead, readjust your chair one more time. I know really? Sit to stand is so important. It's something we do a lot throughout our day. Every time you sit down on the couch, on the chair, even on the toilet, we're gonna have to pick ourselves back up. So we're gonna finish with this one. We only got 10 of these. As soon as we do 10 of these, we are done. So choices here for you. I'm gonna adjust my chair back just so you can see me a little bit more. Feet are gonna be flat on the floor. You want them to be in that nice comfortable position. So you're not thinking about they're super wide out here, but we also don't want them to be too narrow. For me, it's a little bit wider than shoulder width distance apart. And my feet are just flat on the floor. You've got my heels, my foot underneath my knee. Choice is yours for hand position here. If you would like to use your hands on the chair to help you stand up, that is an option. If you want to use your hands on your legs, that's an option. Most challenging here, hands folded across the chest, or even grabbing a weight and holding the weight in your chest here to really up the challenge. We just got 10 of these. Join me now. We're slowly gonna stand, hold this standing position for just a second, and then slowly thinking about dropping our bottom, coming back down, sitting down. Great, that was 1. Here's 2. Nice controlled movement on the way back down. 3. Good, great work. I'm really thinking about my legs here helping me do the work. As I sit back down, I don't want any of that momentum. I'm really thinking about that controlled movement. So it's less of a plop and really getting that deliberate movement. Whoop, we got 3 more, that's it. Nice, slow and controlled. Last 2, we're almost there. Final move, here we go. Up nice and tall. And then carefully back down. Awesome, not too bad on that one. I know that's not always everyone's favorite, but like I said, really important. All right, that's all of our lower body circuit for today. Nicely done.